Everyone in Pittsburgh knows that we made steel for decades, and that legacy is still a living part of who we are now. But there aren't a lot of examples left of how all that history was forged. With the Cary blast furnaces, you can literally stand in the shadow of what was once cutting-edge technology. Rivers of Steel offers tours of this important national historic landmark, and they explain how we made iron, introduce you to the people, the workers who made it possible, and share more about the culture that sprang up to support them. Plus, they've got a special spotlight right now on how the Great Migration shaped its workforce. Learn more and book a tour at riversofsteel.com/tours. Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, what do Jay-Z and Pennsylvania's complicated school funding situation have in common? For reasons we are here to explain, Bay's billionaire husband is pumping his very influential money into the debate over how to deal with our state's lowest performing schools, all while our legislators try to figure out how to pay for our entire public education system. CityCast Pittsburgh's Sophia Lowe and I are here to break it all down. It's Tuesday, June 18th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about.
We are talking about Jay-Z today, not Rihanna, although we are playing Umbrella. I just learned that Jay-Z is featured on it, which maybe is embarrassing.
I am first of all awestruck by that information, but I can't believe we're talking about this.
I'm sorry. I just think of like Tom Holland and his lip sync when I think of Umbrella.
I mean, those videos were classic. I don't blame you there.
Well, anyway, I guess the actual news portion of this, I initially clicked on all these headlines about Jay-Z and education because I like celebrity gossip. But Megan, we are here to talk very seriously about something close to your heart.
Yes, I'm so upset. Jay-Z is wading into one of the most contentious fights in all of Pennsylvania right now. He has pledged to spend bukus of his money on a media campaign promoting school vouchers. And not just any voucher, but taxpayer-funded vouchers. So in effect, taxpayers could be paying for education twice.
Yikes. Not fun to hear as a taxpayer. Again, all very important to talk about. But we did also find this YouTube video of clips of iconic Jay-Z noises, so I'm going to be using them as reactions to what you tell me today. So we're listening, I'm learning about the Pennsylvania education system, and...
I'm focused, man.
Perfect energy. Let's go.
Woo!
So vouchers.
Yes. What exactly are vouchers? I do not have a clip of Jay-Z saying vouchers, so... some of this will, in fact, be me.
Yeah, so they're one component of this umbrella term, get it, that we hear a lot called school choice.
Right.
So vouchers are a promise, basically, that someone else is going to pay for a school option other than the public one that a student would otherwise have attended for free. They could be a scholarship, a reimbursement, a rebate. Pennsylvania actually has 2 programs already running that work as tax credits for corporations that want to fund scholarships.
Okay, sure. But like, how do they work?
Spotlight Pennsylvania has a great, much more detailed explainer on this topic, but very broadly, we have the Educational Improvement Tax Credit, that's number 1, and the Opportunity Scholarship Tax Credit. Both reimburse businesses for their scholarships in the form of a tax credit. So those organizations will give kids money, but then they get 75 to 90% of it back from the state on their taxes.
Okay.
So the educational improvement one covers scholarships to private schools and funds, quote unquote, innovative programs in public schools. And the Opportunity Program is targeted to students in the bottom 15% of Pennsylvania schools. That's as determined by state test scores. And then both of them have a household income requirement. So you have to make, I think it's just over $100,000 for the household for both.
Okay, so there are a couple mechanisms already. So are people using these systems?
I couldn't easily find information about how many children actually receive these scholarships, but I did find all of the corporations who were giving. So just the Opportunity Scholarship one, that brought in $60 million alone.
Wow.
Across the state. Locally, here in Pittsburgh, organizations like PNC, Dollar Bank, UPMC, they all participate.
Okay,
There were
that makes sense.
a bunch of realtors and lawyers. There was the car sales group, Team Rahal, U.S. Steel was on the list. The Buncher Company gave a ton. And then I thought this one was interesting. The Diocese of Pittsburgh gives a bunch through 4 different LLCs to both organizations. But again, I'm just going to say it again. Reminder, they're donating the money up front, but then they get reimbursed for it. So once again, still taxpayer money.
So what does Jay-Z
Shaboy!
want us to do then?
Expand it by a lot. The one Jay-Z supports is called the Pennsylvania Award for Student Success, or PASS. It would offer scholarships again, and again for students at low-achieving schools, but all operated through the state rather than using small businesses to be like the reason for the giving. The last version of this, I saw Republicans wanted $100 million for it.
Whoa.
Which opponents at this time said could get diverted from our existing education budget. This year, Jay-Z and company are asking for $300 million for it.
Bigger whoa. Oh, wow. Okay. That's a lot of money.
It's so much money. Neither chamber, our state house or Senate, have passed it yet. Democrats, by and large, do not support it. Governor Josh Shapiro does, however. He's kind of broken with fellow Democrats on that. He wanted to fund it last year when it was still at that $100 million figure. Do you remember that whole budget stalemate where everyone was pissed at him? It dragged into the fall. This was part of that. So eventually Shapiro backed down because House Democrats opposed it. And he couldn't get anything else done. So anything.
Well, everything's a bargaining chip, I guess.
Yeah. So, and Jay-Z
Shaboy!
is bankrolling this new media campaign around the Philly area to try to get people to support PASS this year.
But PASS would still be for students across the state.
Yes, but only Philly is getting the attention.
That tracks. Someone pay attention to us. Pay attention to Pittsburgh, too.
Jay-Z's company, Rock Nation, has said that they're not sure how much they've spent on it so far. I don't think they even have to tell us, but they're doing stuff like hosting in-person information sessions, putting up billboards, driving around in trucks with those like digital displays.
Does it have Jay-Z's face on it, too?
I really hope so. I mean, it would be really funny, right, if it weren't so much taxpayer money at stake. Like, you're a billionaire. You're one of the most famous New Yorkers of the modern era. Like, why are you getting involved in this way in a state that you're not even from?
Yeah, I think that's what surprised me the most and made me click on things. So I'm like, Jay-Z isn't from here. I mean, he does have some Philly street cred because he does that Made in America music festival there. But still, like, he's not from Philly or Pittsburgh or any other place in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, for sure. He's tied to a bunch of other guys that have offered scholarships like this for a while. Shout out to Spotlight PA, the Philadelphia Inquirer, Education Week. They have all had great stories about this. But they point to Michael Rubin, for example, another billionaire, Meek Mill, Kevin Hart, the comedian. They are all part of this. Spotlight said that combined, just the three of them, Rubin, Meek Mill, and Kevin Hart, have spent somewhere around $24 million on scholarships just among the three. But again, they're doing it through tax credits. It sounds very generous, and it's not generous, but you and I are still paying for a portion of it. You got to keep repeating that.
Right. So would PASS be the same thing then? It's more vouchers.
Similar, yeah, but the household income requirement for PASS is lower. So for the other two, the household income was just above $100K. For PASS, it's well below the federal poverty line. So for a family of 3, for example, you would need to make less than about $62,000. Did you know There's a speakeasy on Liberty Avenue. Well, we're letting the cat out of the bag, or I guess I should say the rabbit out of the hat, because Liberty Magic is Pittsburgh's premier speakeasy theater, dedicated to the art of elevating magic. And if you've never been, there is a really fun show right now that would be a perfect entry point to what they do best. Magician and comedian Rob Zabrecki has brought his variety show, The Zabrecki Hour, to Pittsburgh. And it is just so wonderfully weird. There's deadpan comedy, song and dance, and his absurd take on mental phenomena, which may involve getting a few of his audience members involved. It is strange in a way you will never forget. The Zabrecki Hour is happening now at Liberty Magic through July 14th, and they even offer a Skeleton Key VIP experience for the best seats and an up-close encounter. You've got to check it out. That's the Zabrecki Hour at Liberty Magic through July 14th. Get your tickets at trustarts.org/magic before they disappear.
So I think I know all the details of this pass thing now. Let's get more into what people are saying about this. Megan, you keep repeating that, taxpayers are still paying for a portion of it. I've seen a lot of negativity surrounding it. But what else are people saying?
Yeah, people who support them say that they are a lifeline for students in, quote unquote, failing schools. I personally don't love those terms, but they're essentially an escape hatch. Opponents say that they take money out of the public school system, which is already terribly underfunded here in Pennsylvania. You might remember a judge ruled not long ago that our funding system is so unfair for K-12 education that it is unconstitutional. So our legislature is still trying to sort all that out at the same time all of this is happening.
Wild.
But by taking money out of public schools, it harms the students left behind. There are also objections to taxpayer money, any kind of taxpayer money, going to any kind of private or religious school.
That makes sense.
Because, among other things, they can, choose who they admit or not. So, just because you might qualify for a scholarship doesn't mean that they'll take you. And using taxpayer money to be selective like that can make a lot of people feel squishy. Teachers' unions also do not like this. They oppose vouchers.
Well, and I'm borrowing from executive producer Mallory Falk here, but she suggested that we look at stories about whether, these kinds of programs are even effective. So she found an article from the Inquirer, and this article quotes a researcher from Michigan State who studied voucher programs. So this is in other parts of the country, not Pennsylvania. But this researcher found that these programs actually led to academic declines, and he likened them to predatory lending.
Yeah, and you're assuming that the private school you're opting into is actually more academically sound than the public one that you're leaving behind. And that's just not necessarily the case.
And Megan, I feel like I kind of have the gist of your feelings about this, but I'm going to ask more directly, what do you think about this as someone who is a former education reporter? And you have a kid who, will go into this public school system or some sort of school system one day.
Totally. Yeah.
What do you think about Jay-Z poking around and trying to fix Pennsylvania's system?
Jay-Z's fine. Please keep coming for concerts. Please put in a good word to Bay.
Bring her to Pittsburgh.
I know.
We do want her.
We do. But I don't feel great about any exceptionally wealthy person trying to influence how my taxes get spent. If you really care about the quality of education so much, you could pay your fair share in taxes. Or if you don't want to opt into that, you could also pay directly to the public school system. You could spend, whatever amount you're about to in that media campaign. Instead, give a donation to Philly public schools. I'm sure they would love to have it. Spotlight estimates that another billionaire we've talked about on this show, Jeff Yass, has spent about $1 million funneled through an organization on just stuff trying to promote this voucher program in the last year.
Oh.
Imagine what that $1 million could have done if he'd given it directly to Philly public schools or Pittsburgh public schools. I just want for all rich people out there, please stop trying to find a way around our public schools and use your wealth and influence and power to maybe uplift them from within.
Right. I feel like this could definitely be an Abbott Elementary plotline in the future. I hope those writers are also paying attention.
Yeah, and no shade to any parent making any choice for the, best outcome for your child. Like that I have absolutely zero judgment for. You do the best you can to make sure that your kid has the best that they can get. That's great. Full stop. No judgment at all.
Well, I mean, I guess since Jay-Z's mostly in Philly for this, we will not see him bopping around Pittsburgh then promoting public school vouchers, or maybe not see his face on a bus or something.
I mean, who knows? You never know where the money's going to fly. I guess if you want to double your odds, you could zip over to Philly. But it doesn't even say that like he's showing up to his own events there.
Oh,
so,
weird.
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably wouldn't expect a sighting in like Giant Eagle or anything anytime soon, That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. If you like the show, please tell someone, leave us a nice rating, a good review, and make sure you're subscribed to our Hey Pittsburgh newsletter. We will be off tomorrow in commemoration of Juneteenth, but we'll be back on Thursday with more news from around the city. Talk to you soon.
But what about Wegmans?